I never thought a friend could ruin your life so quickly. My name's Jordan. I'm 24, and I work at a small tech startup that's just beginning to make a name for itself. I've always been careful with who I trust, careful with who I let in. But I was wrong about Liam, so wrong. Liam and I had been inseparable since college. We shared classes, dorm rooms, late-night pizza runs, and ideas, hundreds of them. He knew my quirks, my fears, my ambitions. I thought our friendship was unshakable. I thought loyalty was a given between us. But it turns out that loyalty only exists when it's convenient. The day everything fell apart started like any other. I had been working for weeks on a new concept, an app feature that could revolutionize how our company handled internal communications. I had buried myself in research, coding late into the night, sketching out diagrams on napkins at lunch. This was my brainchild, my sweat, my sleepless nights, my own creative labor. I was proud, and I thought I could finally share it with the CEO. Liam was in the meeting, sitting across the table, nodding politely. The perfect wingman, or so I believed. When I started my pitch, I felt a rush of confidence. The slides were perfect, the demo ran smoothly, my notes were meticulous. I could feel my heart beating, a steady rhythm of anticipation. And then, out of nowhere, Liam stood up. Just like that. He leaned forward, cleared his throat, and began to explain the concept. The words were mine. The diagrams, my work. And yet, in the CEO's eyes, it was Liam's idea. I froze. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would shatter my chest. The CEO leaned in, clearly impressed, asking Liam detailed questions about the implementation. Liam answered everyone with confidence, smiling as if he'd been the one nurturing this idea from the start. I watched, invisible, furious, stunned. After the meeting, I cornered him in the hallway. Why would you do that? My voice trembled, more from rage than from fear. He laughed, a light, dismissive chuckle that made my blood boil. Relax, man. You're too emotional. It's just business. Just business. It took me a moment to realize that this wasn't a one-time betrayal. Liam had done it before. Maybe smaller things, subtle things I had shrugged off. But this time the stakes were too high. The humiliation, the theft of my work, the betrayal, it all hit at once. I went home that night staring at my reflection in the mirror. My hands shook. My chest burned. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to make the rage inside me tangible. But I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I made a vow. I would fight back. If I didn't, if I stayed silent, I'd lose everything I'd worked for. And this time, I wasn't going to let him get away with it. I knew the fight would be hard. I knew it would consume me. But I also knew one thing with perfect clarity. Liam had shown his true colors. And now it was my turn to show mine. I couldn't confront him publicly yet. Liam had everyone fooled. Charming, confident, the golden boy. If I acted too soon, I'd look jealous, weak, irrational. I needed proof, solid, undeniable proof. Something that would leave no room for doubt, no room for excuses. So I became meticulous, almost obsessive. Every conversation, every casual comment, every gesture, every glance, I recorded it. My phone ran silently in my bag. Emails and chat logs were saved and cataloged. Screenshots piled up in folders meticulously labeled by date and subject. Nothing would escape me. Every word, every move, every attempt to shift credit subtly, I logged. Every interaction was ammunition. It felt like preparing for war. I analyzed him constantly. How he leaned into praise, the small smirks when attention drifted away from him, the way his voice changed when the spotlight came near. Every detail, every tiny behavior became part of my strategy. I had to anticipate him, predict his moves before he even realized I was aware. Then I set the trap. I created fake project documents, detailed enough to be believable, laced with subtle errors that only someone trying to claim the work could replicate. I left them in shared folders, in places where he would discover them, certain that curiosity would get the better of him. And it did, immediately. He copied sections, reworded passages, polished the edges, and presented them to the CEO as his own breakthrough. My pulse raced. My stomach twisted into knots as I watched. The CEO praised him again, oblivious, impressed. My blood boiled. I wanted to scream, to rip the walls down, to throw everything to the ground. But I stayed calm, calculated. Patience was my weapon now. Revenge, I promised myself, would be perfect. I added layers to my plan daily. Emails, text exchanges, timestamps, proof of subtle sabotage, evidence of moments when he claimed my collaborative work as solely his. By the end of the week, I had everything I needed to expose him fully. Enough that even his charm couldn't protect him. Timing mattered. Too early and people might doubt me. Too late, and he could dig himself even deeper into the CEO's favor. But I knew one thing. The moment I revealed the truth, it would be glorious. Every stolen idea, every condescending smile, every lie, every manipulation, it would all collapse. I imagined him standing there confident, suddenly silenced by the weight of undeniable evidence. Colleagues stunned. The CEO finally seeing him for what he truly was. Satisfaction, justice, rage, all colliding in one perfect instant. And so I waited. Patient, silent, calculating. Every day a preparation, every observation a weapon, every note a step closer to the perfect strike. When the time came, there would be no mercy. Only truth, only vindication, only the sweet, inevitable collapse of everything he thought he had built. I chose the quarterly meeting. The timing was perfect. The entire team, the CEO, stakeholders, all present. Liam was scheduled to present first. I arrived early, silently reviewing my notes and mentally rehearsing every line I would speak. Every email, every screenshot, every recording was arranged, ready to hit with precision. There could be no mistakes. As he began, I sat quietly, watching him transform my work into his performance. He embellished every detail, twisted every insight, made it sound like he had been the genius behind it all. My hands shook, a mixture of rage and adrenaline. My mind replayed every betrayal, the lunchroom smirks, the casual dismissals, the nights I spent slaving over code while he soaked up praise. I felt my pulse hammering in my ears. The applause when he finished was loud. Too loud. It grated against me, a reminder of how easily he had fooled everyone, how dangerous his charm was when left unchecked. I forced myself to stay calm, to focus. My turn had come. I stood, heads turned. Conversation stopped. I could feel the tension in the room shift instantly. I took a deep breath, steadying my voice. Actually, I'd like to clarify something, I said, letting the words hang for a moment. The silence deepened. Liam's smirk faltered, just slightly, but enough to see the first cracks. I began presenting my evidence. Emails, screenshots, recordings, each one carefully explained, each one methodically demonstrating his deception. I didn't shout, I didn't rage. I spoke clearly, firmly, letting the facts do the work. Every lie exposed, every stolen idea documented, every attempt he had made to claim my work as his own laid bare before everyone. The room was silent. Even the hum of the air conditioning felt louder. Liam stammered, trying to explain, trying to charm his way out, but his words fell flat. The confidence that had made him untouchable evaporated under the weight of undeniable proof. Colleagues who had once admired him were glaring now. Disbelief and anger etched into their expressions. I felt a rush of satisfaction. The control I had been cultivating finally in my hands. I could see the understanding forming in the CEO's eyes, the realization dawning that Liam was not the person he had appeared to be. But Liam wasn't finished yet. In a desperate, flailing attempt, he tried to twist the narrative, accusing me of lying, claiming I had fabricated the evidence. That's when I realized this wasn't the end. The confrontation had revealed the truth to everyone. Yes, but it had also ignited a new battle. One where reputation, alliances, and perception would all be tested. The real fight had only begun, and I could feel it pulsing in the room, alive and dangerous. But this time I was ready. By lunchtime, the word had spread like wildfire. Liam was isolated. People avoided him, sidestepping in hallways, refusing to meet his eyes, whispering behind their hands. The charm that had once made him untouchable evaporated in an instant, leaving only the hollow echo of arrogance. HR moved quickly, launching a formal investigation. Every email, screenshot, and recording I had meticulously saved was reviewed. The evidence was undeniable. Liam's web of lies, manipulations, and stolen work could not withstand scrutiny. It was satisfying to see the truth speak for itself, to watch as the facade crumbled without my voice needing to shout. But the worst part wasn't the exposure itself. It was how he tried to drag others down with him. He lashed out at interns, at colleagues, even at me, blaming anyone who refused to support his fabrications. Watching him flail, desperately attempting to rewrite reality, made my blood boil. I wanted to scream, to punch a wall, to let the anger inside me finally break free. My fists itched. My heart pounded like a war drum. Instead, I stayed calm, calculated. I documented every move, every accusation, every deflection. I wasn't done watching him unravel. I let the system do the work while I ensured that no escape route remained. The satisfaction was quiet, simmering beneath the surface. But it was infinitely sweeter because it was precise. By the end of the day, HR concluded their investigation. Liam was suspended pending termination. The relief I felt was almost physical, a weight lifting off my chest. But it was tempered by a deeper understanding. The damage he had caused wasn't so easy to undo. Projects delayed, trust eroded, team morale fractured. I knew some of my coworkers still whispered, questioning how I had waited so long to act, how I had allowed him to shine even briefly before exposing him. I didn't care. I had waited for the perfect moment. I had gathered the irrefutable evidence. I had orchestrated a strike so clean, so complete, that it left no room for argument. My revenge wasn't loud. It was surgical. It was perfect. And Liam? He finally understood, far too late, that I had been methodical, patient, and smarter than he ever gave me credit for. The arrogance that had blinded him for so long now stood exposed. I watched the realization creep across his face, shock, disbelief, humiliation, and perhaps a flicker of regret. But it was too late. The battlefield had shifted. I had reclaimed my work, my reputation, and my peace of mind. And while the scars of his betrayal lingered, the sense of control, justice, and vindication was overwhelming. I had proven something, not just to him, but to myself, that patience, precision, and strategy could dismantle even the most charismatic adversary. For the first time in weeks, I exhaled. The storm had passed. The fallout was complete. Liam was gone, and I was finally free to rebuild what he had tried to destroy. A week later, Liam was gone, fired, humiliated, his reputation shattered beyond repair. The arrogance that had once made him untouchable was now nothing more than a memory, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones around the office. The team looked to me differently now. I could see the respect in their eyes, the trust that had once wavered returning stronger than ever. People approached me for guidance, for advice, for leadership. It was surreal to feel the shift, to witness the subtle power of patience and precision unfolding. Even the CEO apologized publicly, a nod of acknowledgement, admitting he had misjudged me and giving me credit where it had long been due. And I finally felt it: relief, satisfaction, vindication. Months of stolen ideas, stolen time, and betrayed trust had weighed heavily on me. I had allowed someone else to claim my work, to manipulate perception, and for a moment it had felt unbearable. But through patience, meticulous planning, and strategy, I had reclaimed everything. Every piece of my reputation, every ounce of professional credibility, every hard-fought achievement, it was mine again. I reflected on the lessons etched into this battle. I made rules for myself, principles that would guide me in the future. Never trust someone who smiles while taking credit for your work. Pride is a dangerous thing. It blinds you to subtle betrayals, to the quiet erosion of loyalty. And most importantly, never allow anyone to steal your life. Rage, when controlled and focused, can become the most powerful weapon of all, more precise and enduring than any impulse-fueled reaction. I could feel the weight of it all lifting, replaced by a sense of empowerment I hadn't experienced before. The office felt different, lighter, steadier, more mine. I was no longer merely surviving in my own career. I was asserting control, reclaiming authority, proving that intelligence, patience, and strategy could triumph over deceit and arrogance. It wasn't about vengeance in the way movies dramatize it. It was about justice, about reclaiming what had been taken, about sending a message not just to Liam, but to everyone who might think they could undermine me. I would see through it. I would wait. And when the time came, I would act decisively. For the first time in a long time, I felt confident. Not arrogant. Not reckless. Confident. I had faced betrayal, endured humiliation, and emerged not just intact, but stronger. I had learned how to wield my anger, how to focus it, how to transform it into strategy. And now, as I looked around at my team, at my work, at the life I had almost lost, I knew one thing for certain: I was in control. And nothing, not lies, not manipulation, not arrogance, would take that from me again.